Hello, Cancer. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your May monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I talk about Cancer, I'm talking about Cancer rising. If you don't know your rising sign, you can go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time of birth and location to determine that information. These videos are also based on Pacific time zone. So if you are not in the Pacific, please adjust for your location. May 2023 is a very, very big month. We have a lot of planetary activity going on. We have our second eclipse. We have Mercury going direct. We have Jupiter changing signs into Taurus, and a whole bunch of other stuff we're going to jump into right now. So let's go. Cancer. The month starts with Pluto retrograding in Aquarius. And Aquarius is your 8th house. Pluto has been at the 0 degree of Aquarius since March, late March, and it will only go to the 0 degree Aquarius in the year 2023. This is giving us a toe tip into what will happen when Pluto moves into Aquarius for the next 20 years, in 2024 to 2044. This is a time to sort of observe, is how I want to put it, observe the energies, so that you can reinvent yourself, is the way I want to put it. The sign of Aquarius by nature is very futuristic. It rules technology. If we think about it, technology is a process of invention, a process of discovery, a process that is gestating something that is new and that serves a version of life that we have not up until this point experienced. So as we see Pluto traversing the very beginning of your 8th house of transformation, then it's going to drift back into your 7th house of Capricorn, and it will go to the 27th degree of Capricorn, and then it will move forward again. So we're going to experience the 27th, 28th, and 29th degree of Capricorn, and a deconstruction or a deeper renovation into your 7th house of partnerships that will then allow for this new experience to be birthed as Pluto moves into your 8th house. The 8th house by nature is a house where we commingle our resources, we commingle our bodies, we commingle in many ways our psychology, because it is the belief system that we have in the very depths of our soul and the depths of our human experience that we then form our partnerships. It's where our attitudes towards commingling our bodies, commingling our finances, commingling our belief systems is revealed. So I think this is a very powerful time. And I don't know if I really think this is a time to take action as much as it feels like a time of observation. And part of that observation could very well be, for Cancer, how you take care of yourself, or if you give your power up in situations. Pluto will retrograde for 127 days. That's almost a little over 4 months. And then in October, on the 11th, it will move direct through Capricorn. So it spends most of the retrograde in Capricorn, and then it will move into Aquarius in January 2024. So this is very, very powerful, and it is really requiring a bravery. And I say that because the solar eclipse in April 2023 was Mars ruled, and the lunar eclipse on the 5th of May is Mars ruled. It is also Pluto ruled because it's at 14 degrees Scorpio. So Scorpio is your 5th house of romance, of the conception of children, of the performer, of your personal pleasure, your personal enjoyment. It's entertainment, hobbies. In some ways, it's like sitting around doing the crossword puzzle or playing games or getting out and having a really good time. So this lunar eclipse at 14 degrees Scorpio will happen at 10:34 a.m. Pacific time. This particular eclipse season is interesting because when we had the second new moon in Aries, which was a solar eclipse, it changed the pattern and the cycles of the moon for a period of time. I heard this on Molly McCord's channel, and I found it very intriguing because we're going to start to have a full moon before we have a new moon, where normally we have a new moon and then a full moon. So for a period of months, we're going to be offered an illumination to see something very, very clearly in the brightest phase of the moon before we plant our seeds in the new moon. So this eclipse is feeling very much like a willingness for Cancers to be brave in their transformational energy and be brave in how they are viewing their value. How are you trusting your intuitive knowing? Are you listening to that little voice inside of your head? You are ruled by the moon, by nature. So eclipses are always going to be powerful for you. But this particular one is in the house of romance. And I think it's an opportunity to sort of put to rest old stories that don't serve you, or to be aware of how much you look into the history of where you have been in order to determine the future. And if we think about the divine laws of the universe, our conversation very much sets the platform for our experiences. And our conversation reflects our thoughts, and our thoughts are anchored in our beliefs. And our beliefs are just thoughts that we have over and over and over again. So I'm thinking that this eclipse is very powerful. It could very much be ending your singlehood or ending your energy of not being a parent, because we conceive children in the fifth house. And I feel like it's also illuminating a deep belief about the things that happen in that house. And through that illumination, there is a liberation. The sun will be in Taurus. Taurus is your 11th house of hopes and dreams. It's your house, again, that's ruled by Aquarius, where naturally ruled by Aquarius. It's not Aquarius here for you, but it's naturally ruled by Aquarius. So there's an opportunity to truly reinvent yourself, because the sun will be conjunct Uranus during this eclipse. It's a 4-degree orb, but to me, it's still a powerful one because Uranus has been going through your 11th house for quite some time. And as it has continued to bring up new and untried and untested opportunities, this is where you, Cancer, get to be brave in tipping your toe into that energy and feeling what that could be like. At the same time, we have Venus in Gemini. Gemini is your 12th house, and it is making a square to Pisces in your 9th house. So this is an opportunity for you to identify old patterns, old places where you feel unseen, and to rewrite your belief system about that. And it isn't necessarily about trying to flip on a dime or flip the switch like that. It's more about being able to realize you're going through a process of identifying an old reactionary instinctual pattern that you picked up from long ago, and then implementing new and untried and untested energies, things that are more aligned to your dreams and your hopes and your willingness to give life to the idea that you are not doing all this by yourself, but you have a team of heavenly hosts that are supporting you. And with that square at 26 degrees Neptune in Pisces really gets to anchor in that watery, intuitive, moony, emotional feeling. Because again, all this is happening on the day of the eclipse. Venus is also making a sextile to Jupiter at 27 degrees Aries. Aries is your 10th house. So this is your public status. There is a very good possibility that some of you could endeavor a new relationship. You could change your parental status. The 10th house, when we talk about public status, it's not just about your career. It is about how people perceive you. So when you go from being a parent or being not a parent to a parent, that's a change of status. When you go from being single to engaged, or engaged to married, that's a change in status. So I think there's a lot of things going on during this eclipse, and bearing in mind that Mars is ruling this eclipse season. It ruled the Aries eclipse, it ruled the lunar eclipse, and in some ways it rules the flipping of the script or the flipping of the cycle of the moons. So here, this is really an opportunity for you specifically, because your ruling planet, its cycle is changing for a few months. So illumination precedes the planting of seeds. And I think this is so that Cancer can recognize their own personal pleasure, what they require in the way of romance, allowing that to be birthed in a really big way, and being really good about communicating that and not hoping that somebody else will just feel your energy. On the 7th of May, we have Venus moving into your sign, moving into your first house. This is warm and fuzzy. This just kind of doubles down on that romantic energy for me. It could also make you feel more valued and more loved. And for some reason, I'm getting this very strong pull that it could make us very nostalgic for the things of our childhood, wanting to eat the foods of our childhood, wanting to watch TV shows or re-engage those playful energies and memories of our childhood. On the 14th of May, Mercury goes direct in Taurus. Taurus is your 11th house. I just lost myself for a second again, and we're going to have a new moon there. So I want to offer this. When I was doing my Mercury retrograde video, I was inspired to look at the exact time and what the chart was when Mercury goes retrograde, and I saw a conjunction to the moon. This isn't that easy to happen. Even though the moon zips around the zodiac very quickly, it moves so quickly that for it to be exact at the time of the retrograde makes me feel as if this particular Mercury retrograde is focused on my emotional body, on my ability to nurture, to trust my inner voice, to look at how my emotions sometimes dictate my actions, and are those emotions really aligned to my happiness? Or are they somehow taking me into a historic place where history is dictating my future? So I think this is a very powerful dynamic. Having Mercury go direct in Taurus is really starting to take that reevaluation and thinking about it as I'm moving myself forward in where I want to be. The 11th house naturally rules my hopes and my dreams, and we're about to plant seeds in that energy in just a few days. So this is exciting. We also have Jupiter entering Taurus. Again, your 11th house, an expansion of your networks, an expansion of your hopes and dreams, an expansion and a feeling of wealth and a feeling of thriving and having faith that your dreams can come true. And if we think about that, even though the 11th house naturally opposes your 5th house, here there's a sense of cooperation. Again, I want to go back to the idea that Mars ruled both the new moon, solar eclipse, and the full moon, lunar eclipse. And it has, because of the Aries, 2 new moons in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, there's a period of time where we are being asked to be more courageous, more brave, more pioneering in putting our history in the rearview mirror and setting a new platform for moving forward. So I want to offer that as Jupiter moves into Taurus, you, Cancer, have an opportunity to really look at how much you talk about the old story and then how much you give life to the new story. We have Jupiter squaring Pluto. This is going to be exact. Pluto is retrograde. So that square, and I tend to feel like I'm repeating myself, is again a tense moment between an old habitual, instinctual way of being and then this kind of new, untested, not really anchored, not really rooted, new part of me. And sort of this new version really requires a lot of focus. It requires, in some ways, effort, because I keep wanting to scoot this way. So that's why we see this tenseness. Now, Pluto in Aquarius in retrograde is offering us a glimpse into the renovation, the liberation from that old story. Taurus rules our old stories, our history, our insecurities, are where we don't feel our self-worth. That's its most challenging energy. We also have Jupiter making a square to Mars as it's in its last degrees of Cancer and is moving into Leo. This will be an influence that will go through the second half of the month, and it will feel almost at an increasing tension between the old version of me and the new version of me. And do I trust it? Will I still be loved if I'm not constantly nurturing others or taking care of my network? If you're a Cancer who has a large audience on the internet, you may feel almost enslaved on some level to constantly produce content, and you need a break. You get to go into that fifth house energy and start to have a little bit of fun so that you come back into your content with fresh eyes. This is just one example. You'll have to look into your own personal life to see how this applies. We also are starting to see Jupiter making a conjunction to the North Node as it enters Taurus. The North Node will be at 3 degrees Taurus, and this is going to be very powerful and very influential moving forward. As Mars at 28 degrees Cancer, as it moves through into Leo, it is going to start to make that an opposition to Pluto. And this is going to culminate in a T-square to the nodes. This is extremely powerful. Let me run back to about some of the things that Jupiter represents as we're talking about your 11th house here. It represents new philosophies. It could bring in new business partnerships. It could bring in a sense of abundance and expansion and faith in your hopes and your dreams that you hadn't had before or you hadn't felt before. Having Mars moving through Gemini, which is Cancer's 12th house, there could have been for a period of time this feeling of disruption that was going on at the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023 that felt as if almost old arguments and old situations. Now I feel like we're having this opportunity to birth things in a different way. It feels as if these eclipses are bringing information through that are allowing me a stronger footing, a stronger sense of faith, and a willingness to step into that energy. Jupiter is going to be in your 11th house for a little over a year between retrogrades. So this is really an opportunity to expand, and to benefit and to feel a sense of flow and to trust it. Okay, now we go to the new moon. The new moon on the 19th is again in Taurus. There is so much Taurus Aries activity right now. We were feeling a lot of the Aries energy in April. Now those planets are moving into Taurus. This new moon is at 28 degrees Taurus, which is the Cancerian degree, the degree again of self-care, the degree of my own intuitions. As I start talking, literally a moth flew onto my screen. A moth is a version of a butterfly. It is where the caterpillar has completely disappeared. There's no evidence of the caterpillar anymore, and yet the essence of the caterpillar lives within the butterfly. This new moon offers you butterfly energy. It will be trining Pluto. It's kind of an odd trine because normally they square each other, but because of the way the degrees are, we're feeling a cooperative energy before we feel a more challenging dynamic here. We also have the new moon sextiling Mars at 29 degrees Cancer in your first house. And we see the new moon sextiling Neptune in Pisces, which is your 9th house. This is about planting and starting to water and nurture this new belief in yourself, this new version of yourself, to truly see and to acknowledge your own evolution. And through that awareness, your focus becomes more powerful and more influential in the experiences you're calling forth in the future. Now, at the same time, when all of this is happening, we're having this increasing energy of the fixed grand cross. As Mars and Pluto are making their opposition to one another and then squaring the nodes, we're having this real strong energy that's saying, what do you believe about yourself? Are you brave enough to look at where you have held a vibration that does not serve your future. It may be viable, it may be a hurt you've had, it may be a trauma you've had, and rather than allowing the trauma to feed the butterfly experience, it's anchored you into the caterpillar where you can only see this little bit. So this fixed T-square is going to bring up themes from the Aries solar eclipse in April, and it's going to really kind of task all of us to look deeper at our psychological imprint and how much we are basing ourselves. It's kind of like giving up our victimhood, to be honest. I think we all sometimes get tired of adulting, get tired of being grown-ups and having to take care of ourselves. And those that are responsible for a lot of other people, you fall down the list of priority. And I think the eclipse is about bringing you back up on the top of that list. And if you're not doing that, this grand cross is going to feel very uncomfortable to you, because the Jupiter's moving up on the North Node. So there's going to be this real expanded and voracious feeling of wanting a new experience that's much more authentic to our own voice, our own skills, our own self-care, our sense of feeling comfortable and feeling cozy, and lots of fun food, good pillows and blankies and nice things around us. And I feel as if an awareness of this will help us to manage these waters more gently and be more compassionate to ourselves. I think that the 24th is going to be a very emotional day, as the moon will be conjunct Mars, and this will also be triggering the opposition to Pluto. And, here we have Jupiter again. So awareness, so that you don't go down the rabbit's hole of the old versus the new. We also have on the 21st, Mars will enter Leo, officially enter Leo, and the sun will enter Gemini, which is your 12th house. So this will illuminate some thought processes, some conversations, self-talk you're having, and you get to determine if that self-talk is taking you backwards or forwards. We end the month again with what I think is a rather emotional day, as the moon is conjunct the South Node at the 3rd degree. 3rd degree is the Gemini degree, again, bringing up an emotional dynamic of what has been my history, my story. And here, the South Node represents a point of loss, a point of erosion, but it doesn't have to be a traumatic loss. It could be the loss of my ego, where I'm getting in the way and I'm not allowing the universe to give me a new experience. And again, this is where I kind of go back to that Mercury retrograde, where I'm revisiting in Taurus my history, what I believe about my skills, what I believe about my voice. How do people listen to me? Do people listen to me, or do they just kind of go, oh yeah, and blow me off? And that makes me feel not valued. So there's a lot of opportunity here to stand in an energy where you trust and support your own sense of self. And then this comes back around through the opportunities that are presented in the eclipses and the changing of these planets into new energies, where you will feel a sense of thriving and a sense of trust in that continued endeavor. We're going to see a lot of changes in the world. We're going to see a lot of shifting as technologies and as of dynamics become more I don't know. I'm going to quickly say this. The other day I was in a restaurant, and the chef was kind of commenting that the young girl behind the counter did not know how to use a landline telephone. She'd been raised on cell phones. She didn't know where the send button was. There's no send button on a phone. So these are the example of the technologies that are changing, that are going to support a bigger version of our happiness. So I want to kind of have you stay in that lane, because this eclipse is in your 5th house of joy and pleasure and entertainment and feeling valued and romance and the fun of conceiving children. So take advantage of that. Okay, that's it for my Cancers for the month of May. Thank you very much for watching. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. Please like, please subscribe, please comment, hit that notification bell. And if you'd like to join me Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific time, I do a live stream where we do a card reading, angel cards and the tarot, and we look at the transits ahead and we get the angel's advice for traversing those transits. All right, everybody, take care. Peace out.